Robots, technologies, and companies that have achieved outstanding results in 2020. These are worth keeping an eye on in 2021. Let's see the top robots in different categories, from the coolest and most dangerous to the weirdest and most unusual robots. Like this video and let us know what are your top projects in the comments. Let's start off the top with the weirdest amateur robotics projects. This year we had a lot of fun with Michael Reeves and his homegrown robotic surgeon controlled by hand movements. This project is too far from being useful, so it's going to be in last place for our top series. Shane Whiten's project looks a bit more interesting. This haircutting robot really does its job, though not very well yet. But Shane plans to develop the project and add spot coloring to it as well as making options for animals. And that's going to be second place. And in first place is Takashi Kabuki and his challenge to build a running robot in 100 days from scratch. Starting with the most rudimentary designs, Takashi has consistently explored every aspect of the robot's movement and continues to improve it to this day. Today marks the 172nd day. Now let's look at some unusual professional projects. And the first will be the world's largest robot, the Gundam. At 18 meters high and weighing 25 tons, the robot with 24 degrees of freedom is driven by electric motors and controlled by the Azratec V-Cyto operating system. Another amazing project was the Disney research robot with realistic facial expressions. This robot's animatronic torso reacted to its surroundings, accurately reproducing the facial reactions of the robot's given character. Disney Research is actually working on a lot of very interesting projects, and it's been fun watching them work. We think they'll be able to surprise us in 2021. In 2020, we finally saw the long-awaited release of the commercial version of Molly Robotic Chef, whose exciting announcements have been stirring up the internet for years. The real prototype differs greatly from the graphics, but still looks really good and functional. The owner can choose 1 out of 5,000 dishes, and the robot will cook it completely by itself. The only flaw is the exorbitant price of about $335,000, but the manufacturer promises to make the robot cheaper when it goes into mass production. The first customer will get their hands on Molly this year. The robot has a competitor though, the Samsung Bot Chef, introduced at CES 2020, but we haven't heard anything about it since then. Which of these unusual projects is best? And we'll leave it up to you to decide. Vote down in the comments. Oh, and subscribe to the channel. There's many more reviews of the coolest robots ahead. It's time for a hot top of the coolest robots of 2020. What do you think is worthy of the Robot of the Year title? Boston Dynamics robot Spot, which proved the company's commercial potential and managed to enter not only the construction and oil and gas sectors as well as visual inspection and data collection, but even into the space sphere, becoming the basis for NASA's project to launch robot dogs for Mars exploration. More than 400 robots have been sold to date. We've talked about this at length in other issues, so if you want to learn more, click the card above. The Digit robot is the world's first commercial humanoid robot from Agility Robotics. This robot, with a LiDAR instead of a head and stereo cameras on its torso, is capable of navigating in space, walking across rough terrain, and climbing ladders and carrying weights up to 18 kilograms. The price has not yet been disclosed, but the amount is known to be in the 6 figures. The company received $20 million last year, which means investors believe Digit is in demand. The Atlas robot, noted this year not only for its mind-blowing dancing, but also for the fact that it's begun to learn new moves and much faster. Engineers at Boston Dynamics used to prescribe the robot's behavior literally line by line. Now, Atlas is learning quickly in simulations. If you want to know more about this one in a future episode, put a plus sign in the comments and share this video. Another contender is Toyota's Home Robot, which is interesting by the way it can move around your house. It literally hangs from the ceiling, appearing only when it's needed. Personally, we're sure that at least some of the homes in the future will be built with such robots in mind, because, well, it's convenient. And the last contender for Robot of the Year is not only the most affordable, but very advanced robot, and that is Dog from Unitree A1. The robot can carry loads weighing up to 5 kilograms and can walk at speeds of more than 3 meters per second. On one charge alone, the robot weighing 12 kilograms and standing 40 centimeters tall can work from 1 to 2.5 hours. A1 gets its information about the environment through 2 cameras, transmitting high-definition video to a human operator, and currently, the price is less than $10,000. But we're partial. We still think Spot is the Robot of the Year. It's the undisputed leader in terms of attention, media coverage, and applications. Our compilation of the top robots would not be complete without military robots. And in the main trend, here's the robot swarm technology. For example, Rheinmetall introduced a wolf pack of robot tanks. The autonomous swarm moves and identifies targets using a camera system and artificial intelligence, while the decision to fire is going to be made by a human operator. Reconnaissance robots can also carry kamikaze drone launchers. Drone swarms in the sky are also relevant as the development of robotic pilots and artificial intelligence capable of controlling combat aircrafts and helicopters. An example is the DARPA Alias project, which is a system consisting of robotic pilots, a voice interface, and software. Alias can easily be installed on any active U.S. Army helicopter by adding LiDAR and cameras. The trained artificial intelligence system that will be able to control aircraft and engage in close air combat is the future and being developed by DARPA, called Air Combat Evolution. The neural network system should be faster and more efficient than humans. It's expected to be tested in 2024. But the most interesting announcement from the sphere of military robots is a project that can be followed for the next 15 years, and that's the future fighter Tempest of the UK Ministry of Defence. This 6th-generation autonomous jet fighter is invisible to the enemy, will be armed with hypersonic and directed energy weapons. Built-in artificial intelligence will be able to control a swarm of slave drones and share important information with other combat robots. And that is first place. If you want to learn more, check out the link in the card. The next best robots are robots that have already replaced humans. The 3 significant 2020 categories include Waymo's most advanced drones to date, already operating a cab service in Arizona without a pilot in the cab. Next up is delivery robots seeking to replace couriers and make deliveries contactless. The 2020 Robo Courier of the Year was Starship Robots, 70 of which delivered groceries to healthcare workers during the lockdown. In total, the roomy Robo Couriers, designed to travel at 6.5 kilometers per hour on sidewalks, have traveled more than 200,000 kilometers in 20 countries and more than 100 cities around the world, making more than 20,000 food and package deliveries. And also sharing the robot red zone is medical robots. We give them first place because they're a perfect example of where and how robots should be used. Disinfector robots, drug transporting robots, test collecting robots, and robots for the remote presence of doctors all kept people safe from the dangers of the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic. The leader, for example, among disinfector robots is the Danish company UVD Robots. For the best robots in the fight against the pandemic, see the issue in the description from the Robots Against COVID-19. The most innovative robotic companies also can't be overlooked, and among them, contenders for the Company of the Year are Boston Dynamics or Hyundai, which both brought the coolest robot developers in the world. From this deal, we expect a new phase in the company's robot development, and at the very least, the introduction of Handle, the warehouse robot, to the market. And with possible contract to produce Apple autonomous cars, Hyundai could become the leader in robotics. Geek Plus deployed more than 10,000 of its autonomous mobile robots around the world in 2020 and launched Robo Shuttle System for multi-level warehouse automation, allowing it to deliver goods right into the hands of a human from anywhere in the warehouse from up to 5 meters. But most importantly and interesting, the company has opened a factory that uses its robots to create new robots. Sarcos Robotics was the first company to commercialize the Guardian XO full-body exoskeleton for industrial use. The exoskeleton can help people lift between 15 and 90 pounds and reduce their risk of injury. It's designed to be worn for an entire shift and can last up to 8 hours on a single charge. The military is currently also considering using an exoskeleton. The Boston-based company Vicarious combines a virtual reality with robotics in its development of a tiny surgical robot with cameras and human hand proportions that can enter the patient's abdomen through a small incision. The surgeon can then perform a surgery using VR controls that recreate what the robot sensors see inside the body. And finally, there's the Chinese company UB Tech. To them, we're going to give first place because they, on one hand, continue to believe in personal robots and develop their project of home humanoid robot Walker, and on the other hand, keep their hands on the pulse of events and create useful robots for service and medicine industries, such as Aimbot and Adibot, as well as the Robot Cruiser, already working in hospitals and Easy Home, the largest Chinese network of repair products. And the company is consistently updating its line of children's kits so they can learn robotics as well. Separately, we want to highlight the robotics of Company of the Year in Russia, Promobot. By opening an office in the US and registering a company in Hong Kong, Promobot quickly adapted to life in the face of the coronavirus pandemic, developed and began delivering its disinfection robots, thermal control terminals with face recognition, and humanoid robot administrators to companies and institutions. For the next year, Motorika Company has best chances to be nominated. The socially significant project, which develops affordable and functional prosthesis devices for children and adults, received CE marking back in May, allowing its products to be supplied to the European Union. In 2021, the company plans to fully enter the EU market, and it's a great achievement for such an important and really good project.